Well, today is the day that I mount two sinks in the top of this old antique sideboard. I've done all my work. I've got my hot and my cold water pipes running through the wall in behind here. I've got my drain pipe back there. That's the vent that goes up through the ceiling, and then I'm going to be able to come right off of that with my drain pipe. The trick is going to be, I've got to cut two holes in the top of this, and this is all solid oak. And the sink is so large that it's going to be difficult to cut this hole without getting into this wood here. This is that's a good ½ inch or 3/4 of an inch, maybe it's an inch, I don't know, of wood here. So I can't cut my hole any farther forward than the back of that. Well, I could, but I wouldn't want to. I don't want to be sawing on this. That would just that would be kind of scary. So what I'm going to do is start just on the back of that, place my sink in here, which this is a template hole, and it looks like it may put the sink actually hanging off the back lip a little bit. If it does, I can deal with that, because if I have to, I've got some oak out in the barn, and I can extend this back by another inch or so just by adding a little bit more oak back here. I'm literally going to bring my pipes through the wall, sheetrock the wall, attach this thing to the wall. I'm going to put screws through it so that it's kind of bolted right to the wall so it doesn't move around. And if I have to, I'll just elongate the thing a little bit, because I think it's important not to get into kind of saw through the part of the oak that makes up the trim that kind of holds the thing together up here. I think that would be kind of inviting disaster. So that's sort of the plan for this morning, is cut two holes, try to get them right, and then set the sinks in there and plumb everything. I'm going to pull out those boards that are down there. Those are just things that I laid down there. When I had this in the bedroom, I used to tuck blankets up under that, and they don't need to be there. That'll come out. And my plumbing and everything will be hidden up under the bottom of this thing. That's the plan for today. I think it's going to be a fun project, and I'll get with it. Okay, I'll introduce you to my weapons of mass destruction here. This is a yard sale find. It's a reciprocating saw that's made the way it should be made. This thing is made in such a way where you can, when you're cutting with it, you get your hands on it like this, and you can see the blade, and you can kind of drive it around in a circle. I found this thing in the yard sale for 15 bucks. Most saws that work like this have a thing like a gun handle, and they're wicked bulky and hard to mess around with, but the way this one's made is just ideal for doing this kind of work. I've also got another yard sale find here. This is my old Chesterfield cigarette box. Why is my zoom? Go back to where you're supposed to be. What do you think this is, Hollywood? This is my old Chesterfield cigarette box full of saw blades that I found at a yard sale for a couple of bucks. And here's a drill bit box left over from my dad. Oh, I was just wondering what happened to that thing. That's a sheetrock bit. Look at there. I'm going to need that. Now I know where that's at. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is come over here and drill a hole behind this piece of wood I was talking about, so I'll know where to start my blade, or how far back this thing will need to sit, and then work from there. I just realized as I was doing this that my saw still has the $15 price tag still on it. Now that's a mark of fine craftsmanship right there, when you still got the price tag from the yard sale that you bought your tools out of. Well, this worked out just ideally. I got close enough to kind of put a little scrape back here, and I did get into this front board a little bit. I was really trying to find the right compromise, and I did make a little cut here, which I don't think is going to matter. The sink kind of sits back in here pretty far, and the only reason you need that big round hole is to get these bolts down through there, which bolts it down. But the actual sink sits inside of that. I am going to have an issue right here. By the way, look at this. You know how nowadays every piece of furniture that you buy is made out of some sort of pressed board, which is basically wood chips glued together, or I think of it as cardboard. This is real solid oak. It doesn't get any more solid than that. In fact, that'd make a good tire for a Fred Flintstone car right there. I bet you could get 100,000 miles out of that baby. That's actually some pretty wood. If anybody was a mind to make a nice round table, that'd be a good start for one right there once you sanded the paint and stain and everything off of it. But anyway, I'm going off in a whole different direction with that. I got a nice little hole for my sink to sit in. I am going to need to obviously cut this piece in the middle down a bit, and I'll do some measurements and figure that out, and then I can go ahead and set my sink in here. I'll cut the same hole out on the other side. Once we get the two sinks in here, then it's just kind of a matter of figuring out how the plumbing's going to sit. So far I'm liking that just perfectly. I think I've got this just enough where I don't know if I'll have to add anything back here, but if I do, it won't be much. So I think I'm going to be in good shape there. So I guess my next project is to figure out how much of this I need to cut out and get that done.